Peter Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by it'seasy.com passport and visa services.
Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday for this February, last Thursday of February, as a matter of fact, 2023. I hope you're having a great time wherever you happen to be. We're doing our global travel update today from the roof of the Dorchester Hotel here in London. And of course, you know how to reach me with your comments. Just send them in, and your questions as well. I also asked you earlier to tell me what your pet peeve was, the thing that angers you the most about airlines, and you were not shy. We're going to get to those as well. But first, let's get to the news. And the news, of course, we start again from Turkey, where they had 2 more aftershocks. The death toll over 50,000 now and continuing to rise. Last week, you may have heard me say there were 11,000 buildings that collapsed. I was really wrong on that count. The new numbers are staggering. They're claiming 100,000 buildings collapsed. And as you can imagine, that's why we're getting those numbers coming in later as to the death count, which has nowhere to go but up. It's tragic, it's staggering, it's overwhelming, but there are things you can do. Last week, I gave you the whole list of great relief and aid organizations with boots on the ground in Turkey, all over eastern and northeastern Turkey and southern Turkey that are truly helping in the recovery efforts. We have hundreds of thousands of homeless. There are not enough tents. If you know where to find blankets or tents or portable toilets, generators, heaters, they need them. They also need your money. But you want to get your money to the people that are going to actually use it the right way. And I gave you those names and numbers. We're going to post it on our website again. And Anthony will do that for us during the show. But if you miss it, you go right to petergreenberg.com. We have that comprehensive list of all the places and ways you can help right now. There's going to come a time in the not too distant future where you get to be a second responder and help in another way by going there, not just by spending cash as a visitor or a tourist. But remember, everybody has something they can bring to the party: the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, you, me, anybody. They're going to need it because the infrastructure is not just challenged. In many cases, it's no longer existent. So we will talk about that in the days, weeks, and months to come. It's not a story that's going to go anywhere but down for a while, but there are ways we can help, and I hope you guys will do just that. Last week in Los Angeles, Cargo Lux donated a 747, and the folks at Turkish Air loaded it up with nearly 70 tons of equipment, gear, and supplies. That's a drop in the bucket. It helped, but it's not enough. We got to keep going. And what the Turkish Airlines guys are doing every night, on every one of their flights in the United States, any spare space in the cargo area is being filled with those needed supplies. Do what you can. Check out our website. Go to those organizations. They want to hear from you. Please do that. Of course, now we're dealing with another weather issue in the United States, a bizarre cold front that's going into places, blizzard conditions in California. Yep. And we're talking about a couple of thousand delays and cancellations. The airlines are trying to be smart about it. They knew it was coming, so they're doing a lot of preemptive cancellations to be able to keep their assets in one place and be able to then restart once this goes through. Let's be honest, airports like LAX are not known for their great snow removal gear, right? Same thing in Northern California. It's an unusual wave of cold. Folks in Minneapolis, they've got their act together, but because they know snow, but this is serious snow. And worse, it's ice. So if you were planning to go anywhere that's going through a hub in Minneapolis, in Detroit, in Chicago, check with the airline. But more importantly, do what I do. Go to an app called Flight Radar 24 or FlightAware. They track planes by tail number or flight number, and you can easily figure out if your plane is even arriving to be able to take you where you need to go. Much better to be disappointed in the comfort of your own home than stuck in an unforgiving plastic chair at the airport. We'll have updates on that, of course, on our website, petergreenberg.com, throughout the rest of this week and weekend. Moving on, I want to give you 2 ideas about this day in history or this week in history, both of which I witnessed, one of which I was a part of. On this week in 1962, John Glenn basically was the first astronaut to actually orbit. He did 3 orbits around the Earth. And what's interesting about that is what? He On the second orbit, I love this, somebody at NASA left the mic on. And they said to him, "Hey, John, how's it going?" And John Glenn's response, in perfect candor, one of the all-time great responses ever, was this: "It gives me such great comfort to know that I'm orbiting the Earth in a capsule in which every single component part was built by the lowest bidder." He was right, but he made it back. Also this week in history, and I was there for that, 1986, Ferdinand Marcos fled the Philippines for Honolulu. I interviewed him before he left, and of course I got the first interview with him when he was living in exile in Honolulu, along with his wife, Imelda. Crazy story. Hard to believe that was 37 years ago. Yikes. Am I feeling old? Just a little. All right, let's keep going on this, because some interesting news that might be good news for everybody. You know, there was a law that was passed by Congress about 2 years ago that was basically ordering the airlines not to charge families to sit together. And it was never enforced, and nobody did anything about it. Well, then we had Joe Biden's State of the Union address, where he basically said you can't treat kids as cargo. The DOT is swinging into action, about to issue a huge rule that will ban airlines from charging families to sit together. So to sort of preempt that, earlier this week, United Airlines announced, guess what? We figured out a way to let families sit together without paying any more money for their seats. And guess what? They're doing it. Now, what's interesting is that the people who are doing this, it wasn't a new system. They didn't have to tweak their computers to make this happen. Any airline can do it. Why? Because when you make an airline reservation, what do you have to do? Give your date of birth. So anybody under the age of 12, they already know if they're flying with you, it's your family. So all United Airlines had to do is to figure out who's doing that and allocating those seats. Southwest Airlines is now doing that. American Airlines is going to kick in. And now a family of 4 or even a family of 3 doesn't have to pay $120 or $160 for the luxury of doing something they should be doing anyway, which is sitting together. And for those of you who think that by doing this, the airline is denying you your ability to get an upgrade, no, it has nothing to do with that. Nobody's getting upgraded here. They're just getting to sit together and coach, as it should be. By the way, that's not the first piece of good news. I'll give you another one. A number of state attorneys general are starting to move on the other junk fees that were mentioned in the State of the Union address by Mr. Biden, including resort fees. And guess what? You're going to see some action taken, and maybe even the Federal Trade Commission might be involved in this too, in terms of truth in advertising and failure to disclose. So watch this space closely. And then finally, I have to laugh about this bill only because of its name, not its intent. It was introduced by Senators Blumenthal and Markey. Let me give you the name of the bill. Are you ready? It's called the FAIR, F-A-I-R, Fees Act. What does FAIR stand for? This is where you get to laugh. Forbidding Airlines from Imposing Ridiculous Fees Act. FAIR. They get the point. But as part of that act, if it actually gets through committee and gets voted on and becomes law, it means if you get bumped from a flight, the minimum you get is $1,350, right? Anytime you have financial consequences, actually you get people's attention and they stop bad practices. If an airline wants to overbook, they have to pay. This goes back to the old tarmac delay rule, which goes back 11 or 12 years now. When they put that rule into effect, that came from the US DOT. It wasn't a piece of legislation. It basically said if you push back from the gate with a full load of passengers or any load of passengers, and you keep them hostages for more than 3 hours without returning to the gate, you're liable to a fine of up to $27,500 a passenger. I failed math in high school, but I could do this arithmetic. On a 737, you're already at 7 figures. So how many tarmac delays have there been excessive of 3 hours? Very few. High financial consequences, behavior changes. Let's hope this other bill passes on the bumping. It should, and I hope it does. Remember, you have elected representatives. Let them hear from you that you support that act. Now, moving forward, a couple of other housekeeping notes before we get to your questions. 2 nights ago, we premiered, actually last night, we premiered on PBS our new 1-hour special on PBS called Hidden Saudi Arabia. And if you haven't seen it yet, check your local listings. It also will be available very soon on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. Here's a quick trailer.
It is a country long shrouded in mystery. A kingdom that was closed off to most of the outside world for 87 years. But beyond the expected stereotype of deserts, camels, and oil wells, it has human history dating back over 300,000 years, filling its monumental landscapes, fertile mountains, and vast seacoasts, with lost artifacts and forgotten empires. This is truly one of the last frontiers of travel, as almost every destination has been barely explored for decades, or not explored at all. It is at once a brave old world, and suddenly, a brave new world. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Hidden Saudi Arabia.
And there you go. I hope you get a chance to watch it. And it'll be on for a while. And of course, it will be streaming on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. All right, moving on. Let's go say hello to some people here who've all weighed in. And then we'll get to your pet peeves too. Patrick says, greetings from frigid LA. I just saw you last week there, Patrick, at the travel show. By the way, I'll be appearing this week, this Saturday and Sunday, at the Denver Convention Center. I'll be speaking there at the Denver Travel and Adventure Show. So if you're in the area, please come by. We'd love to see you. Zora says hello from Beverly Hills. Here we go. Greetings from chilly LA again. That's Harriet and Jim. What do we have here? Oh, yeah. Lorraine is saying greetings from Iceland, not the country, but Lansing, Michigan. Go Sparty after the ice storm. Great basketball win the other night for the Spartans, especially after the tragedy that they suffered on campus the other day. It was wonderful to see that morale booster. Cheers from Tucson, Camilla. Nice to talk to you. Sue is saying hi from chilly Bellingham, Washington. It's cold, folks. Hello from Williamsburg, Virginia. Damn baggage fees. Well, let's talk about the baggage fees. That's not in any of the current bills because the airlines, don't require you to carry bags, but they want to charge you for it, with the exception maybe of Southwest. And remember, when Southwest Airlines said they weren't going to charge for bags, their own shareholders and Wall Street basically attacked the stock, claiming that they were leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the table that they could otherwise generate in revenue. And Southwest said, we understand that, but we think we'll generate more than that in people wanting to fly our airline because we're not nickel and diming them. And they were right. The other airlines still want to generate those fees, and we'll see what happens with that. Paul says, greetings from Ashland, Virginia. Just returned from New York City. The Orchid Show at the Botanical Gardens is a must-see. I agree. It's amazing. Check out the Botanical Gardens, not just in New York, but in so many other cities in America that you don't even realize they have either arboretum or a botanical garden. Okay, and Debbie says, Iceland and Buffalo, New York, too. I know, it's Buffalo, right? Patty says, my son is in Mayfair now, right around the corner from the Dorchester. Okay. Betty says, loving the Florida weather here, especially after our hurricane on the West Coast. Okay, but you didn't tell me where you are, Betty, unless you're in Florida. Victor says, I have a little problem of phone voice. Let me fix it. Okay, whatever that means. Colleen says, sending lots of loving, peaceful energy to your wife, her extended family, and friends during this challenging time in Turkey. Thank you for that, Colleen. My wife right now is in Turkey with her family. It's a sad situation there, devastating to be sure. Luckily and happily, her family and their nearest relatives are all alive. However, so many of them have now nothing. They've lost their houses, they've lost their businesses, they've lost their possessions. They were only able to leave with what they were wearing. And many of them now have moved into my wife's parents' house. We're talking 30 and 40 people now living in one house because they literally have nowhere else to go. This is not an isolated story. It's happening throughout the eastern part of the country, and it's going to get worse. So my appeal at the beginning of this show remains my appeal now. Go to our website, petergreenberg.com, and see how you can help any of the organizations that we highly recommend. All right. Ken is saying, I'm watching from Tanzania. Okay. Asante. Asante Sana. All right. Let's see. Betty's saying, feeling sorry for all the cruisers trying to get to their ports because of not being able to fly. Okay. Jeff is saying, hello from cool Santa Monica. I believe Gagarin was the first to orbit the Earth. Yes, but John Glenn was the first American astronaut. Remember, it was Alan Shepard, then it was Gus Grissom. They just did suborbital. And then it was John Glenn who did the 3 rings around the Earth. Okay. My friend Doug Denoff, cheerio to you, sir. I haven't seen you in a long time. I hope to see you soon. Hello from the island of Nauru. Oh, yes. Wow. That's an island we haven't heard from in a while. What's their biggest product? At least, what was the biggest product that used to be made in Nauru? Anyone want to guess? Well, it comes from one source. Bird dung, guano. It was phosphates. And at one point, the island of Nauru had the highest per capita of millionaires in the world, or at least the highest per capita of Rolls Royces in the world, followed by Hong Kong. They even had an airline at one point, Air Nauru. I don't even know if they're still flying. We'll have to check that out. Can I speak? Okay, Mary wants to know, can I please speak about the Terminal 1 closure at JFK? I know some flights were diverted to other airports. I was on one, but were some flights sent back to origin? Heard one from Australia was sent back. You heard correctly. There was an electrical problem, and the systems just shut down there. They could not operate anything. You know, for years I told you guys I was a fan of paper tickets. That's one reason why. When the system shuts down, they can't process anything. Victor says, I'm at Arusha City Center in tourism in Tanzania. Okay, Victor. Debbie's saying, I'm going to watch Hidden Saudi, but my question is their human rights positions as it applies to women. It's a hard no to travel there if the government gets all the money. Well, you have 2 issues there in your statement. The human rights positions as it applies to women, it's getting a whole lot better there. And I can tell you that's a fact. Does it need to get more better, as we like to say, or mo better? Yes, it does. But here's the deal. If I had to choose where I went and did my shows based on politics and human rights, I probably couldn't even go to Cleveland. Travel is a very powerful force to actually open the door to human rights, to common sense, to equality, to democracy. It seriously does. So I'm not going to sing Kumbaya here, but I am going to tell you that I had no problem doing Saudi Arabia as a hidden one of our series because for, more than 80 years, it truly was hidden. Nobody got to go unless you were a religious pilgrim going to Mecca. So I hope you get a chance to watch it. Take a look. You might be pleasantly surprised. At least it might open your eyes to seeing the possibilities of what can happen and what is continuing to happen in that kingdom. Okay. Luana says, thank you, President Biden, for eliminating airline junk fees. Well, he hasn't done it yet. And for fining for passengers on the tarmac. Well, that wasn't Biden either. That goes back to Obama. So, but guess what? It will happen. My good friend Frank says, hi from Kensington. Little known fact, he and I are having dinner tonight. By the way, he and I are having dinner tonight. I'm going to give you a London restaurant recommendation. It's a pub, right? It's called the Wigmore. Why am I going? They make arguably the best toasty on the planet. You know what a toasty is? It's really simple. It's a grilled cheese sandwich, but you've never had a grilled cheese sandwich like their grilled cheese sandwich, and you're challenged to even finish it. So my treat for myself tonight before I get on a plane and fly to Denver tomorrow is I'm having a toasty with my pal Frank at the Wigmore. All right. Alexander says, greetings from warmer, dry Switzerland. By the way, speaking of warmer and dry, have you seen the photos coming out of Venice? Because they didn't have a lot of snowfall in the mountains, speaking of warmer and dry, the canals in Venice are starting to drop. Some of them have actually dried up. Nothing says problems like a grounded gondola. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. But this is the time of the year when Venice normally floods, not the time of the year when Venice dries up. Not a good sign, and we're going to be watching that carefully as well. Okay. Mark Wexler is now on. Mark Wexler, who is the poster child to the Witness Relocation Program, who will never tell you where he's coming from because he doesn't even know. but we'll find out where he is. By the way, Mark Wexler, great photographer, but as a traveler, I'm telling you, he's in the witness relocation program. Okay, let's move on here. Hold on. Okay, Cordelia says, greetings from Maryland. Is now a good time to look for airfare to Cairo? It is. It is. And please don't ask me when the gem is going to open. No one in Egypt will tell me that answer. I'll be speaking next week to the highest government official I can, who will be the Minister of Tourism. I'm going to pin him down. This has gone on way too long. We deserve to know when it's going to open. And by the way, it will be worth it. I've been there. I've been in the workshop rooms. It's tremendous. But they have to open it to the public. Okay. Okay, Joy wants to know, do I know of any $100 a night hotels around 45th Street near the Broadway shows that are decent for a one-night stay midweek in May? $100 a night rooms in 45th Street near the Broadway shows? That would be the play that you're going to call delusional. But here's my suggestion, and most people don't want to take it, but when they do take it, they thank me. Who says you have to stay in Midtown? It's called the New York City subway system. Stay in Brooklyn. There are reasonable hotels there that are fine. You get on the subway and 3 stops at the most later, you're at your show. Okay. Christopher says, blessings from Miami. Prayers for our suffering brothers and sisters. I agree. All right. My friend Rob New in Colorado. See you in a few. That's right. I'll see Rob in Denver. Mike is saying New Escape, the Centurion Lounge at Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, American Express is opening a lot of these lounges, but you know what? Same problems that they've been having at Delta. You know, even if you have an American Express card, can you bring a guest? Maybe not. Do they limit your time there? Maybe so. Are they already overcrowded? Da-da. One of the reasons why this is happening may not be the lounge's fault. What's happening, by the way, is airline scheduling. The airlines in America are now starting to fly bigger planes on fewer flights, but almost all at peak times, which results in what? Passenger surges that takes a lot of these airports, not to mention the lounges, beyond their capacity. That's one of the problems. Okay. Sue Henneman wants to know, stay in New York City after coming back from the Maldives December 9th. Recommend any hotels? Well, you just heard what I said to the other listener about going to stay in Brooklyn. That's the way to do it. You will not be disadvantaged. Our good pal John Feist, by the way, who's directed so many of our royal tours, he says, it's toasty here in San Antonio, crazy weather extremes. Hi to Mark Wexler. John, you get a matching set of luggage if you can tell me where Mark Wexler actually is. That would be helpful. All right, now we're going to switch gears here and talk about your pet peeves because, hold on a second. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here to find them, and here they are. We asked you, what's your biggest pet peeve about airlines? Here we go. Are you ready? When they wipe down surfaces in the galley, crazy strong-smelling cleaners. That's your pet peeve? Why would you even go near the galley? Are you searching for airline food? That's an oxymoron. Okay. Mark says last-minute gate changes. Well, that happens. You can't be upset about that. Celeste says, the belief that you can actually make a connection given less than an hour. I've been saying that for a long time. How many times do you go on the web to make a reservation and you're making a connecting flight and the first one that pops up, which is a cheap flight, is a 33-minute connection? You can't get off your first flight in 33 minutes. I mean, this is nuts. Airlines should not be allowed to publish schedules that they cannot physically operate. That's fraud. I strongly believe in a 2-hour to 2.5-hour connect time on any domestic flight and a 3.5 to 4 hour connect time on any international flight, because if your first flight is late, considering all the other flights are full, you're going to be spending the night in that chair in the airport. It's not what you had in mind. All right, here we go. Here's one from Sharon. It says, tidy seating on long-haul flights. Duh. How about tidy seating on all flights? Okay. Lindy says, stingy food and snack offerings. If you're on a flight for food, you've been living in a cave. It's BYO time. But here's what you bring. Unless you're violating some international agriculture laws, but if you're flying domestically, bring fresh fruit and not stuff that's going to drip. Bananas and apples work, even oranges. And bring healthy snacks. What you don't want to do is go shopping at the airport McDonald's and then board your flight, because now you're in an enclosed aluminum container with the worst smelling bag of old cooking oil for the entire flight. Do us a favor. If you want to eat at McDonald's at the airport or Burger King or any of the fast food joints, do it before you board the plane. All right? I didn't get on the plane to smell old French fries. Okay. Christopher says, the ever narrower seats. Yep. I couldn't agree more. Marley says, not getting my upgrade. Guess what? Nobody's getting their upgrade. Not only that, a number of airlines are completely getting rid of first class entirely and doing a modified business class. These days, if you want to get an upgrade, you might get premium economy. By the way, premium economy is when they show you a photograph of what your seat would have been like 25 years ago. Okay. I love this one from Scott. His pet peeves about airlines, he says, it's like choosing between children. He has so many. Okay. All right. Kathy says pricing. Yep. Yeah, they got rid of, they're doing what they call dynamic pricing. And that means it changes 200,000 times a day. It updates 200,000 times a day. You know what? It's a crapshoot. That means you got to keep on getting online, but then do what I do. Only go online to research, then make a phone call and have a conversation. And if you tell me you can't get on the phone, I have a simple solution for that. Don't call the 800 number in the US. Call the 800 number where I am right now in London, or the 800 number in Paris, or the 800 number in Sydney. They'll answer. They have the same information on their screen that the folks in the United States have on theirs. You'll get honest answers. All right. Okay, Pat says the fact that they run out of most food by the time they hit the economy seats. Stop with your obsession of food. Anybody who gets on a plane today for the wine list and the gourmet meal is in a therapy session. Okay. Here we go. Everybody wants to talk about prices and seats. I get that. The time, okay, Bob says the time it takes for passengers to take their effing seat so we can take off timely. Well, that gets into the boarding process. How are you going to get through life when airlines like United have 8 separate boarding groups, right? We're boarding military, we're boarding people with a disability, we're boarding people in our concierge key, or what they call it, global services. By the time they get down to group 8, we're boarding people with personality disorders. Can't we just simplify it? All right. Okay, John says reclining seats. What reclining seats? Did you see the video I posted last year on my British Airways flight where the seat reclined 1/4 of an inch? They actually had the button. It was ornamental. Okay, Phil says, I hate priority boarding. I get it. Okay. Oh, well, this one, the one that David's writing about now, I couldn't agree more. Allowing animals other than real guide dogs or service dogs, right, to be service animals. I couldn't agree more. We talked about the scam of emotional support animals. A number of airlines have changed the rules, but I'm still seeing a lot of dogs on planes. A Chihuahua is not a guide dog. Sorry. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, someone says, not enforcing carry-on luggage sizes and the number of items allowed. Well, look, on newer generation aircraft, the actual overhead bins are much larger. So if they're telling you that your bag doesn't fit in the sizer, guess what? That sizer was from 1957. Your bags will fit in the overhead compartment. The problem is, because they've added so many more seats to the plane, if every passenger comes in with one carry-on bag, they still can't carry enough of those bags in the overhead compartments or in the seats under in front of you. It's a mathematical impossibility. So that's why you see so many bags get gate checked, because they literally can't fit on the plane, and that delays the departure. It's nuts. By the way, what started that? When they were charging for checked bags. Okay, because nobody wanted to check them. They wanted to carry them on the plane, and there you have the problem. All right, we have so many of these to go to, but you get the idea, right? We'll have another question for you for next week. If you disagree with any of my answers, let me hear from you. And now let me scroll up here for a second, because we got more to do, like the photo of the week. Let's do it. How beautiful is this? How beautiful is this? Anybody want to tell me where it's taken? Should be easy. Starts with an H, ends with a D. It's Holland. It's the Netherlands. Sunrise shot. Magic hour, right? either 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning, or depending on your daylight savings time, 4:30 to 6:30 in the afternoon. Beautiful town called Horn, Hoorn, taken by Carol Rosenthal. Congratulations, Carol. And if you think you've got a great photo of the week like Carol's, go ahead and send it in to us, peter@petergreenberg.com. We will be glad to post it online. We love it. And thank you for doing that. All right, now a few more things before we go. A couple of housekeeping notes. As you know, I'll be in Denver starting this Saturday and Sunday, speaking both days at the Denver Convention Center. I hope you'll be able to stop by. Of course, you'll see me on the radio starting Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And if you can't get it in your market, if you can't find a station, it's easy. We stream it live. Just go to our website, petergreenberg.com, and we'll be live 10:05 a.m. to 1 p.m. It also appears as a podcast. And of course, don't forget Hidden Saudi Arabia, which is airing now, but I'll give you a heads up. Next month, we premiere a new one on March 17th. What a surprise. It coincides with St. Patrick's Day, our new 1-hour PBS Global special called Hidden Ireland. Take a look.
It is a land forged on the wild frontier between the old and new world, built upon a destiny of freedom and self-determination. Sitting on the westernmost edge of Europe, its lyrical green valleys bordered by soaring coastal cliffsides. It's a small island, but with a large influence, thanks to millions of immigrants who brought their traditions with them across the globe. And while the culture may feel familiar, if you dig past the surface, there's a brave new and old world, an emerald isle with scholars and saints, poets and politicians, stories and those who sing them. Two countries on one island, intertwined in history, mythology, and hope. This is what I came for, a rich land where every step reveals a new surprise, often hiding in plain sight. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Hidden Ireland.
Well, I hope you get a chance to watch it. It's they don't call it the Emerald Isle for nothing. And that's March 17th on PBS, and of course, appearing right after that for streaming on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. Let's go through some more questions here. Janet says, flying to Sheridan, Wyoming, August 30th. Price is extremely high. When is the best time to make my reservations? About 54 days out, so you're way early. Okay, check it out. Camilla says, minimal allowable connection time is a bad joke. I'll give you a bad joke. I'm in London, right? What do you think the minimum passenger connect time is at Heathrow? By the way, it's in the airline tariffs. What do you think? It's 3 hours. But wait, now you're going to get angry. What do you think the minimum baggage connect time is at Heathrow? It's 4 hours. Who's running the store? So remember that too. Okay. Lisa says, have I heard of Avelo Airlines or Avelo Airlines? Very low rates, wondering if I should avoid. No, they're a good low fare carrier. Remember, you're paying for everything plus, including your bags or airline food. But they have an interesting route system, especially in the Pacific Northwest, up and down the coast in California. Excuse my cough. And check them out. Okay. Debbie says, crew rest when it's a lie. Crew gets it at midnight, next flight at 6, so we wait. You know why? It's how they time crew rest. It's not from the time you put the blocks on when the plane pulls up to the gate. Nobody's sleeping then. It's from the time they get to the hotel to the time the plane departs the next morning. And if they don't get the rest time, then the turnaround time gets pushed back and the plane waits. So it's a very good idea if you're booking the first flight of the day to ask the airline, by the way, the plane assigned to my flight that's going out tomorrow morning, when did it arrive last night? And if your flight's leaving at 6 in the morning, but the aircraft only arrived at 2 in the morning, you're not leaving at 6. Okay. Mark Wexler is continuing to tell me he's on the island of Nauru. No one knows why. They have search and rescue teams trying to figure out what he's doing there. If anybody here can tell me what Mark Wexler is doing on the island of Nauru, please let me know, and don't listen to Mark. All right, let's keep going here. Christopher says, ITA Airlines from Miami to Rome, thoughts? Well, ITA can't be any worse than Alitalia, which is the airline it essentially replaced. For those of you who may remember, Alitalia stands for All Land in Tokyo, All Luggage in Athens. So if you're going to take ITA, let me know what happens, because I have not flown it yet. Okay. A lot of folks love the pictures in Holland. We love that. Okay, Laura wants to know, when are the airlines going to start boarding by seating location back to front and enforce overhead luggage placement where the passengers are seated? It makes sense. You board from the back to the front. Airlines have done time and motion studies for the last 30 years where they try to board window first, then aisle, then window, middle, aisle. That didn't work. They tried boarding back to front. That didn't work. What I don't understand is the only reason why you want to pre-board on first class is to make sure that your luggage is up there, right? Other than that, what benefit do you have boarding first? I don't get it. Nor does anybody else get it, because you're clogging the aisle and holding everybody up. They really should be boarding from back to the front. Now, one airline, Southwest, as you know, is boarding from, depending on their airline, their airports, like at Burbank in California, they're boarding through both the rear and the forward door. It makes a big difference. Frontier's about to do that too. All right, let's keep on going here. Alexander says, beautiful Ireland. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, okay. Someone says, I fly ITA and book my groups. I don't hesitate to use them, but try their newest Airbus. There you go. Someone likes them. I'll let you know after I fly them, because I will fly them. All right. Before we go, one more thing to remind you about, of course, is Aid to Turkey. Please go to our website, petergreenberg.com. Look at the relief organizations and the opportunities that you have to make a difference at a time when people need your help more than ever before. This is a tragic human loss of staggering proportions, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. Please do whatever you can to help. I'm racing off to get on a plane. I'll be in Denver tomorrow afternoon. See you on the radio on Saturday. And for those of you in Denver, I'll see you at the Denver Convention Center both Saturday and Sunday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't freeze too much in places that normally don't get snow, and don't freeze too much in places that do normally get too much snow, like Buffalo. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you soon.
Peter Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by itseasy.com passport and visa services.